Girivaradhari Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya
Jaya Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Anantagadi Vaishnava Binda ki jai. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class ki jai. Samaveta Vaishnava Binda ki jai. Jum Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bo. So we are serving today Srimad-Bhāgavatam, 7th canto, 13th chapter, text 26. Yeah? Okay. If we can just possible to see the synonyms, the meaning of the word before we recite, then we will be aware what we are reciting. Just the word-to-word meaning. Okay. Tatra, Srila Prabhupada writes, there, api also, dampatinam, of man and woman united by marriage. Almost you can make the translation yourself. See how Prabhupada made it so nicely. Sukhaya, cha and sukhaya, so for the sake of pleasure, specifically the pleasure of sex life, anna apnutaye, for avoiding misery. So for avoiding misery, men and women get married for the sake of pleasure, specifically the pleasure of sex life. You can almost like put it yourself in a sentence, and then we'll read the translation after. Karmani, why? That's the question. Why? Karmani, fruitive activities. So that's considered fruitive activities. But why they would do this? Kurbatam always engage in drishta by observing Nibrite Ashmi. Now the Abadut, the Ajagar Britti Sannasi or Abadut, he is saying what he saw this as a observer, and he came to a conclusion. What is his conclusion? Nibrita Ashmi. Here Ashmi is I. I have now ceased Nibriti, just opposite to Prabriti. Prabriti means Prakriti Poti Britti, inclination towards the material nature. And Nibriti means withdrawing. So Nibriti Ashmi, why he withdrawn or ceased? I have now ceased from such activities. Pipar Jayam, the opposite. Okay. Now we can recite the sloka. Tatrapi dampatinam cha sukhaya anna apnuttaye karmani kurbatam dristva nibritta ashmi viparjayam tatrapi dampatinam cha sukhaya anna apnutte karmani kurbatam dristva nibritta ashmi viparjayam. Meaning and the translation and the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In this human form of life, man and woman unite for the sensual pleasure of sex, but by actual experience, we have observed that none of them are happy. Therefore, seeing the contrary results, I have stopped taking part in materialistic activities. Like according to the Vedic injunctions, he should engage himself in the business of Krishna consciousness. He should save himself from the fearful condition of material existence. And he should sleep only to recover from his fatigue due to working hard. The learned Brahmana said that since everything is misused by fruitive worker, he had retired from all fruitive activities. Okay, purport. As stated by Prahlad Maharaj, Janmaithunadi grihamedi sukham hitucham 7.9.45. Man and woman both seek sexual enjoyment, and when they are united by the ritualistic ceremony of marriage, they are happy for some time, but finally their dissension. Thus, there are so many cases of separation and divorce. Although every man and woman is actually eager to enjoy life through sexual unity, the result is disunity and distress. So before I go further, I just want to make a few key points. This is a beautiful purport. I didn't have a chance to read yesterday when you asked me, but this morning I read it before I went to temple. This is a wonderful. So in the first paragraph, Prabhupada writes that what the material enjoyment is. It is not just a man and woman, it is the soul who has a three existence right now. One is conditional. Just imagine, I mean, it's not imagination, it's a reality, but still we have to imagine, I guess. Conditional, and then constitutional, and then we're trying to go from conditional to constitutional through cognitional. So three stages now we are handling. It would be easier if we just, in the spiritual world, they have one level of consciousness, one level of existence. Everything is perfect, pure. Everything is super happy. That's constitutional. Well, we are spiritually, not potentially only spiritual being. We are essentially spiritual being. We should always remember that. We are trying to be potentially spiritual being, but actually, essentially, we are spiritual being. So constitutional and conditional. Sometimes even we look at our own face, in our own body. I wish I would have a little more muscle, less stomach. Like we never can find complete, even physical body. You follow? So two things is prominent in the conditional: limitation and tribulation. And constitutional, you have a joyful inner connection and satisfaction. Now, limitation and tribulation and joyful connection and satisfaction, it's like two different existence. Now we're trying to connect it through cognitional, but that cognition has a challenge with speculation and concoction. So you keep this in mind, like just a little diorama. Me, or I'm going to use Subho Bilas Prabhu. Subho Bilas Prabhu as a servant of God, eternally connected with God in his constitutional position. He is happy, never need anything. Only he's busy on serving Lord. Why? Because that gives the pleasure to God, and he's more happy, more happy, more happy. And he keeps on going. But in conditional, when he focuses, he has a problem. He is finding limitation. Coronavirus, this body will fall apart. Sex desire also like runs out. You lose your manliness or whatever the spirit. After half an hour, 1 hour, your enjoyment is over. But the soul is seeking for unlimited enjoyment, reality. But in spiritually, you can have unlimited enjoyment, million times more than sex pleasure. How do we go from what originally is essentially we are positioned versus conditionally we are struggling? So this verse purport, this is how I find how Prabhupada is linking and giving some idea that what is essentially we are and what is potentially we are also, and conditionally where we are. So first paragraph in Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada is called Bhoga Tega. The material happiness, if you remember in the Nectar of Devotion book Prabhupada has, in the preface, Prabhupada call is Bhoga Tega and Chapala Sukha, two types of material happiness. Material happiness, and it is on a two leg, tribulation and limitation. You are eternal, but you have a limitation. And you have uninterrupted happiness, but you have a tribulation. And what we are connecting with, the cognitional has very unique characteristics. It has a negative and positive. Negative has you have a speculation. So if you can convert from mental speculation to philosophical speculation, you are on a bhakti side. Mental speculation will take you towards more conditional. That choice we have to make individually, every minute. Whatever we hear, whatever we see, it is not the object, it is not the thing or person, it is our attitude connects the thing or the person. That is what bhakti boils down to, or that is what our sadhana or practice to achieve the constitutional function. It depends not so much of environment, not so much of the facility, it's so much of an attitude. The attitude that we hold, that's what makes it spiritual versus material. A good example, you can see a Mataji, she is very beautiful, or you can see a male person, he's a very handsome. If we look at his body and we think in relation to my sense enjoyment, it is material. Now the same person, if we see that, oh, this spirit soul who belongs to Krishna, if we can some or other help each other to remind of Krishna and engage in Krishna's service, then it is spiritual. But who is making it? Myself. Everybody understanding that point? My attitude is what making it spiritual connection, constitutional. My attitude also making it lower or downward to the conditional. Okay, the next one, next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, very unique. Marriage is recommended to give man and woman a concession for restricted sex life, which is also recommended in Bhagavad Gita by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharma, it is not Viruddha, it is Aviruddha, but together Sandhi, in Sanskrit Sandhi, so you break it. Dharma Aviruddha Bhuteshu Kamosmi. Not against religious principle, means body, even the body standing on limitation and tribulation, but let's see what Prabhupada says. Sex life not against the principle of religion is Kṛṣṇa. Every living entity is always eager to enjoy sex life because materialistic life consists of eating, sleeping, sex, and fear. So we are not against sex life, we are against absorption or obsession on the sex life. Just like a bodily need. Now bodily need, you can, bodily needs food, you feed the body. Now if you are obsessed, well, I need the money, I need to buy a gola. In my village they call gola, means storage place, do all the food for next 5 years, 10 years in the village they do. You know, and in my village, I remember in India that if the person you will give your daughter married, if they don't have a big gola, means a big storage place and it's filled with paddy, then you're not even thinking of your daughter. Oh, these people are poor. Because in the village, I don't know now, I didn't go there 40 years almost, but I remember that your wealth is known by physical vision, not in a bank account, because nobody see the bank account. How much practical asset, land and rice and, you know, practical what do you have. And then they will feel confidence. So, here, few things is very nice. We are not against sex life. Krishna consciousness is not against sex life. Krishna consciousness is against obsession of sex life. That you need a food grain, but if you are obsessed in the village, I saw, you have to have a 5 years, you know, guarantee the food will be there. This obsession is dangerous. If you are obsessed, if your body needs food, feed him, feed the body. I mean, if you get up in the morning, we can be practical. I mean, I get up in the morning, body dictates me, take me to toilet. And if I say, no, I don't listen body, I'm not going to give any attention to the body. You know what body going to tell me? I'm going to embarrass you on the bed. You better go, take me to the toilet. And if I challenge to my body, I'm not going to listen. It's not going to work because I'll be embarrassed on the bed. So body demand is not necessarily we have to look at in a bad way. It is necessary. So body demand, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, you give whatever is required, but don't be obsessed. This is where the biggest problem is. Obsession actually creates a seed of sinful nature. And we don't know how to withdraw anymore. And we are diverted into it, and we get frustrated, and we want more sex, more money, more this, more that. This is where this Abhadut withdrawn. Abhadut withdrawn, he is giving indication that we can live in a family, in this body, with that kind of lifestyle. What is it? That whatever your body demands, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, give, but don't be obsessed on it. And this is what he does. You'll see further goes. I remember many years back, we used to call Python man. And Python man means whatever comes along. And Prahlad Maharaj's question is to him that how come, I don't know if you know Chinese culture. Chinese culture is that if you don't have a, you saw about Buddha belly, they glorify Buddha belly. There's a restaurant called, I guess, whatever, the Chinese restaurant, you'll see like a Buddha with a little belly, not a skinny Buddha. Buddha with a tummy, you know, big tummy. Because there's a big history about it. Umapati Maharaj, he preaches in China, and he told me one time so many things about Chinese culture. It was very interesting. He said, they will never give you daughter unless you have a little tummy. And if you have a skinny, bony body and you are a foreigner, they say, oh, this guy cannot even eat himself, forget it. He cannot even talk to my daughter. Now, it is not some psychologically wrong. It has a good base because they want to see that you actually have a strong, healthy, you eat well. You know, it's not necessarily American standard. American standard is different. So when we say that eating, sleeping, mating, defending is required, yes, it's required. So Prahlad Maharaj asked that question to Abhadut. Generally, one who enjoy life, you'll see they have a little enjoyment body looking. Not African, what do you call, National Geography. I don't know if you ever saw National Geography magazine has a African starvation, you know, like the stomach and the backbone almost touching. You can see the dramatic photos of those starving children. Even some India, some picture I saw like, wow, do they never ate or what? It's like their stomach is touching their back skin or something, backbones. And they make it like this. And just to demonstrate that the poor means you don't eat. So Prahlad Maharaj's question to this Abhadut is very legitimate. He said, you look so chubby. You know, I think Prabhupada put it fatty, or I think Prabhupada translated as a fatty. You look fatty, chubby, you know, you look like a very well nourished. How come you don't work, and how did you get food? How you maintain your life? So that was the Prahlad Maharaj's question, that you look very healthy, happy. So he gave a reason, and the beginning of the reason, this sloka starting, that he withdrawn from the 4 demands, but not that he does not give the demand of the body. He said he gets it automatically. Now, I'm not trying to tell you, don't practice go ahead and practice like Python man, Ajagar Vritti in America. You will be starving to death because America is not that kind of a culture. Vedic culture, yes, Vedic culture, you'll see that even this Abhadut is in the forest, Prahlad Maharaj speaking, but he also said that he sometimes ride in a chariot. He goes in a palanquin like a king, enjoying, but he's not attached to it. You follow? It's not just a Python man, oh God, what can I learn from it? No, we can learn. He's talking about our life. He said he sometimes goes on a big royal procession because he's Abhadut Sannyasi. They give him a royal procession, but he's not attached to it. And sometimes he is like Poor beggar, sometimes he looks like he has a deer skin, sometimes he has a bark, and people think he's like a ghostly hunted. He proper translated like this. A hunted man, I mean, sometime in India you can see like there's meditators, sometimes they look like really like scary to the Western world. But they're like this, they're abadut. Just like we keep ourselves very clean. So cleanliness is maintained by two ways. You have a longest hair, they never shave, they never put a shampoo, they never put any soap, never wash. They let it grow, dreadlock, or we clean it. Two ways you can do it, but keep it clean, Prabhupada said it's always necessary. Like this, that this man, this Abadut is teaching us that as long you live a clean cut lifestyle, very pure lifestyle, in a sense that fulfill the demand of the body, but don't obsess on the bodily demand, then you are actually a sannyasi, living in a family life. That is what required. Then Prabhupada comes. Now I'm going to mention this also. There's one small verse in Bhagavatam purport, Jiva Sukhanesi. The living entity, pleasure seeking by nature. If any philosophy actually dictates or demonstrates that you should give up the sense enjoyment spirit, they are actually doing harmful to the soul. Bhaktivinoda Thakur even wrote a song. He's saying in the song that Prabhupada put in a purport. So I'm going to ask the audience if you can answer, help me, so I can understand. If you are given an opportunity, no, not opportunity, you are forced to stay as a roommate between two persons. I'm just creating a metaphor. You are given a choice to live as a roommate between two persons. One, he is very strict in spiritual endeavor, but he's an impersonalist. He doesn't want to talk about sex or any enjoyment, nothing, zero. He's so strict, but he doesn't want to hear about God's form or God's enjoyments with the gopis, God's enjoyment in Vrindavan Dham. He doesn't want to talk anything. He's very strict, and he chants, his chanting, he does chanting, he's very strict. And the other person, he's not interested into spiritual strictness. He is into sense enjoyment. One person is promoting strict rules, regulation, but impersonalist. Another person, he likes that idea, God enjoy like anything. He also wants to enjoy, but he is not so strict. Can somebody answer me? Which one you would pick? You have to stay there for 30 years, stuck with that guy. I'm just throwing the number. Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't say number of the 30 years. He just said, if this choice is given, and I'll tell you what he answered, but I want to hear what is your thought. Somebody voluntarily, please.
Second one.
Give me little details. Okay. So who is second one?
Second one is the one who's enjoying and seeing God enjoy and believes in that. And that's...
I don't know if I want to agree with it, but let's see the vote. What is the majority votes in the audience? Everybody agrees with Shubha Vilas Prabhu, or you?
Yes, Prabhu. Second one, because even though he is not very strict following the rules, but he's not impersonalist, and he agrees about the God, and of course he doesn't have all the, but based on with our association, he can closely become more God conscious.
Okay. I was just testing. Actually, Shubhavilash Prabhu is right. Thank you for supporting him. So this is, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, he rather want to stay with the sense enjoyer, even though he's not so strict, because he support that God's enjoyment spirit and the soul's enjoyment spirit. It is natural. Jiva Sukhamnisi. That's how Prabhupada put that word. The pleasure seeking by nature. In our constitutional position, we are never devoid of enjoyment. It is only some. Now I'm going to give you a little story how this idea of impersonalism came, so you can understand. 9:30. Okay, I'll come back after I finish the purport. Let me see. The next purport Prabhupada writes, in animal life, eating, sleeping, sexual enjoyment, and fear cannot be regulated. But for human society, the plan is that although man, like animals, must be allowed to eat, sleep, enjoy sex, and take protection from fear, they must be regulated. So you see here, Prabhupada is not denying, but he said regulated. This is the key point here. The Vedic plan for eating recommended that one take Jagna Shista or Prasad, food offered to Kṛṣṇa. Jagna Shista Shina Santa Muchyate Sarva Kilvishe. The devotee of the Lord are released from all kinds of sin because they eat food that is offered first for sacrifice. Bhagavad Gita 3:13. In material life, one commits sinful activities, especially in eating, and because of sinful activities, one is condemned by nature's law to accept another body. So that's regulated life. So we don't have to take another body. It's very clear purport, which is imposed as a punishment. Sex and eating are essential. Therefore, they are offered to human society under Vedic restriction, so that according to the Vedic injunction, people may eat, sleep, enjoy sex, be protected from fearful life, and gradually be elevated and liberated from the punishment of material existence. Thus, the Vedic injunction for marriage offer a concession to human society. The idea being that a man and a woman united in a ritualistic marriage ceremony should help one another advance in spiritual life. This is very nice, very nicely Prabhupada put it. The idea being that a man and a woman united in a ritualistic marriage ceremony should help one another advance in spiritual life. You know, funny thing, this Western body devotees, sometimes they are so wonderful, they exhibited something we can learn from it. Because sometimes I have a false ego, pups, oh, I'm Indian body, I'm better probably. This is not a good idea, because there's so much things to learn from the Western body devotees. Because when Prabhupada in Mayapur, he was climbing on the stairs on the Lotus building, and if you went to Mayapur, the stairs has a standing platform in the middle. So you go straight like this, and then there's some kind of a platform to see the view, and then again it turns, the stairs goes up on the first floor. The Prabhupada stood there, and he had many disciples, and then he turned back and he asked this, I won't say the name because he's my friend also, and he told this devotee, he's an American body, he said, why did you go to prostitute last night? Now, I lived in Mayapur from 77 till 89. I never knew there is a prostitution even. I never heard it. But obviously, Prabhupada knew more than me about Mayapur, I guess. Those days, hardly anybody is there even. But other side in Jalongi, Prabhupada, I guess, I don't know how Prabhupada found out. Nobody knows. Jayapataka Maharaj knows the whole story. But nobody knows how Prabhupada found out. And he said, why did he go to prostitution? So then he was like, so, I don't know what he was feeling, but he told me that he was like overwhelmed with emotion, that he got caught, and Prabhupada knows like everything, like he cannot hide from Prabhupada, and he doesn't want to hide. He said, because my wife does not want to give me I get so agitated for sex enjoyment, and my wife doesn't like this. She said once a month only, because we have to follow Prabhupada, and she's so strict, and I cannot control Prabhupada, and he started crying. He said, so I just don't know what to do. Prabhupada thought for a moment, and then Prabhupada says, it's all right. You tell her, I said, you can meet her when you need. You have to understand where you are and try to pray to Kṛṣṇa and progress from that level. Don't go outside marriage. So in one sense, maybe, okay, that person is bad. No, that's what condition he had. But the way Prabhupada made him to purify, till today, after 50 years, he's still chanting, and he cries when he thinks about that how his heart was so much polluted with this. And he says that he still feel attraction, but he think of Prabhupada and Kṛṣṇa and Mahaprabhu, and it gives us such a feeling that there is a hope Prabhupada will deliver him, and he is trying to follow, and he gets overwhelmed with crying for Prabhupada. So this is a mercy of Prabhupada and Mahaprabhu. That doesn't matter what condition we have, we should acknowledge it, and we should recognize and regret that my condition is so bad, and I draw happiness from the sex. And I know that at the moment of death, wherever the happiness, highest happiness I draw from, will take me to that next life. This is how Puranjan story ended with. That this is Prabhupada's conclusion, that what the next life determines. But because we are following Prabhupada, because like Maharajas, like I was talking to Radhanath Maharaj one time, because we were staying in Mayapur, right across the room, in a senior brahmachari ashram. Maharaj always stays as a humble brahmachari ashram. So I was staying there with Krishnananda Prabhu and myself as a roommate, and across is Maharaj, and then Maharaj, next room is Maharaj's servant and the devotee. So we would just go out whenever Maharaj going out to temple or anywhere, and it was nice. And we had a talk one time, and Maharaj was saying, look, I didn't even get married, so I don't know. You know, Pran Govinda probably has a better experience about what family life is. So he was talking to Krishnananda Prabhu that you can't ask me, you have to ask him. He will tell you better. So I said, Maharaj, but your conclusion is better than my realization. He said, I'm just repeating what I heard from Prabhupada. And then Maharaj said, it's so funny. He said, I thought I said a very wonderful things other day to a group. And I come back to my room and I heard Prabhupada's lecture, and Prabhupada said the same thing. He said, oh my God, I thought I was taking the credit that, wow, this is a nice realization, but Prabhupada already gave. So he said, just depend on Prabhupada, everything will be already automatically taken care. Yes, we should regret that our conditioning is bad, but we should not just, if the regret or if the guilt feeling put ourselves away from Kṛṣṇa, then it is bad as going forward with a sense enjoyment. Everybody understanding my point? Point is, guilt is like a barking dog, is a barking dog. Now, when you have a wealth in the house, You keep a dog outside. Generally in our house, in my childhood, there was one dog outside. Because anyway, I won't go to that story. But then the purpose of the dog, that if there is a thief or somebody comes, it will bark even middle of the night, or if they see any danger. So barking dog is bad? No, it's good. So long it gives us warning, hey, watch out, somebody I see is not safe, whatever. So guilt feeling is good so long it brings me close to Krishna. If the guilt feeling, oh, I'm no good, I don't have anything, just I can't do it, forget it, I don't want to even meet the Hare Krishna people, I cannot do it, I want to enjoy life, forget it, I don't want to practice, then it is bad too. So we have to be very careful. Apathy is not a humility. Apathy for myself is not a humility. Humility means any circumstances I am thinking of Guru Krishna or trying to please them, trying to help the other devotees, that is humility in a simple definition. If oh, I am so wretched, I'm so bad. But if you look at all the Acharya's song, you may say, well, they're saying the same thing. Yes, but what is the conclusion they're saying in the song? Bhaktivinoda Thakur said this. Amaro jivana sada pape rato nahi ko punnero lesh. Oh, my life is full of sin. Yes, he's saying this. But at the end, he's saying, Barduke Khan, Prabhu, I'm old, please give me shelter. I don't have anyone else. You are the only shelter. Krishna, oh Krishna, please, is crying. If that feeling, our regret or anything does not pull us close to the lotus feet, at the lotus feet of Guru Krishna, then what value of your crying? Where are you heading with it? I talk to myself. Okay, you are humiliated or you are not given chance. For what? What that will do? Make me upset against the devotee? Is that a good thing? No. Then why? Because this is the art Krishna taught Arjuna, isn't? Tasmat sarvesu kalesu mam anusmara juddhacha mayarpita mano buddhi amevasya asangsaya. Undoubtedly you'll come to me, Arjuna, if you do this. But this is art. What is it? Think of me and fight and kill them as enemy without enmity. What? How can you kill someone as an enemy until you recognize he's an enemy? Means you have to know what the enemy look like. What is there? It's not like somebody has a ponytail. Kauravas or the Duryodhana, they didn't have like a horn or devil. I don't know. In Google they have a devil, some picture. Duryodhana, I don't know how Duryodhana look like. The painting doesn't look like, they look like a demoniac. They just look like another human being, But then you hear their character, then you get scared of that face. So Arjuna has to recognize that they are enemy, and then he has to think of Krishna and kill them without enmity. Means as a service to Krishna. As a service to Krishna, then enmity will disappear. But he has to recognize. So we have to face the world, wherever we are, our job, our service, our family, our relationship, dealing with the material world, we have to face. We should not be escaper or spaced out. But at the same time, our focus is on relation to Krishna. My job, how it is related to Krishna, my family, everything. Then this is what the Prabhupada purport, what I understand from here. Then Prabhupada writes, unfortunately, especially in this age, man and woman unite for unrestricted sexual enjoyment. Thus they are victimized, being obliged to take rebirth in the form of animal to fulfill their animalistic propensities. This purport is all for the karmis. It's not actually for the devotees even. It is for the devotees just to have a, refresh. Because devotee means they are already following this. Vedic injunction therefore warn, Nayam deha deha bhajan niloke kastan kaman arhate vidbhujamje. One should not enjoy sex life like a hogs. Everybody knows what hogs is. Hogs is a one animal that even Muslim and the Jews, they never eat. Because in the one of the I used to teach Bhakti Yoga in Santa Fe College here in Gainesville, and there was one Muslim Pakistani person. He was also teaching about Quran for us. So I had a talk. I had a friendship. We still talk sometime. And one time he was explaining that how a hog, why hog is not a food for them, even though they eat meat, because hog is the only animal having sex with the mother and the daughter and the wife and no discrimination in their consciousness. I mean, they also have a consciousness, they're conscious being, but in their consciousness, there is no discrimination in hog's life. What is mother, what is daughter, what is wife? They're all same, object of sex. So Prabhupada, when he put those are like a very fine word, very, Prabhupada even morning walk, he gave an example that why hell is required on this, based on this. He said he knew a politician, because you know Prabhupada also in politics with Mahatma Gandhi for a little while, in freedom fighter, as a freedom fighter. He said he knew a politician, or maybe I forgot, he said he's a minister or something. He was, anyway, he was in politics. And any beautiful woman he would see, he would think of intimacy with that girl, lady or girl. So Prabhupada, somehow that he gave a very nice demonstration in the morning walk. He says, now this minister has to become a hog. How is going to become a hog? Now, how many of you can even make a stool as a food? Can it be intelligible? Stool as a food. Can you put your intelligence to really think of tasting the stool? Is it intelligible? No, because we are human beings. We are not accustomed to, even though maybe one life I was a hog, but I cannot think stool as a food. It's not even, you know, has an existence in intelligence. So, but for a hog, it is the delicious. You give a hog a nice cake, he will think it is not eatable. So similarly, Prabhupada said how this minister going to be a hog? He will be taken with a, what's they call, jantrana deha. After he gives up this physical body, this minister, he didn't say the name, so I cannot say who it was. And then he will be taken to a place where he will be trained how to become a hog. And because he has the impression as a minister of eating all this nice food, you know, samosa, I don't know, gulab jamun, rasgulla, I don't know what kind of, is a Bengali minister or a Punjabi minister, I don't know. Some Indian minister, Prabhupada man. So in order for him to remove all this memory, because the memory and the desire goes with the soul from one body to another body. Physical body drops, and Paramatma sanction whatever he wants you to remember. So he remembers all this. So he will be stuck in a room without any food. And that jantrana body does not die. It will only give you the pain of misery. And after days and weeks and months, you will be like screaming out, I'm hungry, starving. At one point, from somewhere, the system is, they'll throw a piece of stool. Oh, it's disgusting. But you have no food for days or months. Then you'll take it That's how Prabhupada, I'm just giving the demonstration what Prabhupada said. And then he put it near the nose. Oh, it's disgusting. But then you change your consciousness. But I'm starving like anything. Let me try. Then you close your nose, you don't want to smell it, and touch it to your tongue. And then you just swallow it quickly. And you think, oh, wow, I feel better. Maybe it's not bad. So you start getting habituated to eat stool. Once you say, it's not bad, it's okay. That's it. You are candidate to become a hog. Would anybody like to go to that transition? That transition place, that is called hell, Prabhupada says. 2 reasons hell is created, and this is one of the reasons for transmigration. But you have to prepare them before they take the body. It's not an easy job. That's why it's a huge operation. 33 million demigod goddess. They have to do so much work to prepare for each soul to take new body. And they have to be very attentive, because otherwise Kṛṣṇa going to punish them. So Prabhupada writes here, the last, he should engage himself in the business of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. He should save himself from the fearful condition of material existence. That's what I demonstrated. He should sleep only to recover from fatigue due to working hard. The learned Brahmana said that since everything is misused by fruitive worker, he had retired from all fruitive activities. So let's see the conclusion. What Srila Prabhupada gives the last of this Brahmana's understanding. So I would say, we have 8 minutes. Purpose of spiritual life, to make our life spiritual. This is what the key point I find in this purport. The purpose of spiritual life as a human being, as a devotee now, to make our life spiritual in every step, every relationship, whether with the children or anything. We have to deal with the children in such a way, such a healthy way, that they never feel pressure to become devotee. If they feel pressure when they are teenager or little later, they will give up. There is a very delicate art for a parents. I see with my both sons, they are wonderful devotee. I really love them. After one of them is 27, after that many years, I still pray with them every night. They feel joyful to say, I love you, Baba. Baba in our language means father. And they love to chant. Because there is art. Of course, I did not do much. I only always thought what can I do? I never pressured them. But there's art. You can actually engage them. You can actually have their friendship. I remember I used to give a class 3 days a week with all their friends in my house on 2nd story, even in Alachua, every week. And Mother Sri Vrindavan, Mother Ekadashi, they all used to send their children. And I would have sometime 15, 20, and I would give them some basic philosophy and some kirtan and nice prasadam. I did this for years. And I see, because my children, when I teach them just to them alone, they don't grasp it. They are not so much into it. So I did not see any fault with them, even though my mind was dictating, yeah, your son is not, I don't remember even at that age, I did even anything. I came when I was 14 and a half. So I didn't do either. My parents were Hindu. Hindus means you worship anything. My father is to like Durga, and my mother she's a Vaishnavi. So she comes from a very orthodox, our Gauriya Vaishnava, but my father was a other side Shakta. So it was kind of hodgepodge, everything. It was generally Hindus are hodgepodge. Dr. Duburi is a very interesting, I love him. He's a scientist in San Diego. And one day I asked, we did a program in his house. I said, why you have a Sai Baba also? You're not missing anybody. It's like everybody's in the altar. He said, Prabhu, in case somebody is right, somebody is not right, I just want to make sure. So this is such a hypocrisy, but that's how it is. But wonderful thing is that he was not a Hare Krishna, but he had an inclination. He knew the value of Hare Krishna. So he used to bring his children. And it's wonderful. Other day I gave a class on Bhakti Japa Sangha group last week. And one Mataji, she's in her 45, 50s. She asked a question. I said, you look familiar, Mata. He said, yes, you know me from 30 years, 35 years. I'm Dr. Duburi's daughter. And I said, wow, you are initiated. She's initiated in ISKCON. She's practicing every day and she's raising children as a devotee. And her father never really involved, but he was favorable. So that's the minimum thing we can do. Be favorable to Krishna consciousness. That's all. Even if you cannot teach the children, don't force. They will turn out a devotee. If you just don't say anything negative against God or against Krishna consciousness. That's all. Be positive. Give them simple life. Even if you are not so much attached to Krishna consciousness, I tell a lot of Hindus, don't. That's okay. Do whatever you want to do. Just be favorable to Hare Krishna philosophy and the people. And your devotees, they will have a wonderful life. We never know. This Krishna has a relationship with each soul. It's not my son or my daughter. They are actually belongs to Krishna. Krishna has and he has a way to purify all of them and bring them close to him. So the best of success in bhakti, this is my conclusion, is tasting for bhakti. If you have a taste, if you feel happy to hear about Krishna, if you feel happy to chant, if you feel happy to honor prasadam, that taste is the success in bhakti. And just increase that taste, that's all. When we practice bhakti, we may wonder, how do I know if I am progressing? How do I know if I am succeeding on my spiritual journey? Yes, that idea is always there, the doubt is there. There is a very famous slogan, that's where I come up with this conclusion. Siddhir bhavati va neiti sangsaya achyuta sevinam. Nisangsayastu. Sangsaya. It says the doubt will come whether I'm siddhi, means if I'm perfecting, succeeding. This doubt will come. Shastra says this. Siddhir bhavati va neiti sangsaya achyuta sevinam. Nisangsayastu tad bhakta paricharjara tatmanam. On the spiritual journey, our destination is who? Krishna. Or more specifically, love for Krishna. So if we are enriched with love for him, we will naturally long to practice the activities that connect us with Krishna. Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, is the time-honored process that offers us a rich gamut of practice to connect with Krishna. So conclusion is that our practice of devotional service or sadhana or Krishna consciousness, our progress towards Krishna, our taste for bhakti activity should increase. That's all. The taste for bhakti should increase and our desire for connecting with Krishna should increase. Now, pertinently, this Bhagavatam asserts that the disciplined practice, what Prabhupada mentioned, if you notice in the purport twice, regulated. Disciplined practice, regulated practice of conscientious devotional strengthens our desire for Krishna. And by ensuring that we have our criteria of success right, We won't get sidetracked if we don't happen to get external result, such as more wealth, prosperity, or popularity. Many people practice religion to gain more wealth. It's a fact. One Muslim friend, he said in Middle East, sometimes the fanatics, wealthy men, they don't get attention by spending money, but they take the shelter of Quran and they say, Quran said this, I want to promote this, and then they go and then people pay attention. But he's not promoting Quran, he wants to promote him. This is a fact. This gentleman told me, he's a professor. So many people practice religion to gain more wealth and others to gain more populars or followers. Those of us who are earnest seeker, like the devotees, may not start our spiritual practice with that intention. And I'm sure most of us, even if we have intention, I have that, it eventually disappears if we sincerely practicing. We may genuinely want to grow in our love for Krishna. But over time, as we keep practicing Krishna consciousness, daily practice, hope, I always encourage everybody to chant every day minimum, particular rounds, what you are comfortable, measurable, achievable, something. Don't do something like more than. Like one of my son, he's a little scientific mentality. You know, he says, I just don't feel like to chant sometime. I said, but it pleases me. I'm your dad. You love me. Why don't you do it just for me? And you know, and I kind of forgot it. After 2 years, I said, how is your chanting going? He said, good. I just do it. I just do it. I said, why you feel do it? He said, yeah, because you like it, for your pleasure. I'm doing it for many years now. I said, good. Then I prayed to Krishna, Prabhu, it's not for me, it's just for you. But at least he has some feeling for me. He loves me as a father. So I have a good bond. That's okay. So like this, we can mold, we can help family, friends, how they can come closer. The best example is ourselves. If we are sincerely, seriously, strongly believer in this process and we practice, then we'll see it affects others. We don't have to tell them, force them to do this. It is not the way Prabhupada wanted. So if we get these worldly gifts, you know, popularity or, I don't know, some kind of a craving for material prestige or good dad, good person, this, that, we can use them in the service of Krishna if you can. And if not, but to use them, we need to be sufficiently strongly attached to Krishna to avoid getting attached to them. That is the key point. That's why the reminder that the test of bhakti, as you probably heard it twice from me, now is the third time, is the taste for Krishna consciousness will keep us safe and strong in our spiritual journey. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Pramanandi. Oh, Bhadra Prabhu is there to bless me. It's wonderful. So, Shubhavilash Prabhu, what do we do now?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this wonderful Krishna Katha and emphasizing on the taste for bhakti and taste for reading, hearing, chanting. One question, you mentioned taste for prasadam also. So many devotees have taste for prasadam, but very few have taste for chanting. So can we say that, is that taste kind of same? Because, okay, even in prasadam, they have, like, someone may have more taste, or like a fool like me, more taste for gulab jamun and kachori or samosa and less taste for karela. So is that also would classify as taste for prasadam, or is that just taste for my tongue?
See, in Krishna consciousness, the beauty of Krishna consciousness, that I have my angle of looking at it, but Krishna has his glance on my endeavor. What I'm trying to do, he sees my intention. So even though I may be liking korla or gulab jamun, but Krishna saying, okay, he likes to taste my prasadam, but it is offered first. So Krishna takes the credit that at least I have intention to eat prasadam. What taste or what flavor I'm looking, Krishna overlooks. Krishna actually neglect that neglect part. So Krishna is very merciful, extremely merciful. Eventually, he will destroy all these unnecessary things, and he will give the positive that I was interested to taste his prasadam. So it's only winning. Even if somebody like particular flavor, give him. Prabhupada even said, there is a quote actually, I don't remember exactly how Prabhupada said, we are going back home, back to Godhead on the way of eating gulab jamun. And in the Facebook, somebody sent me a big pot of gulab jamun, and all the brahmacharis staring at it, 500 gulab jamun. And so on Sannasi, actually Radhanath Maharaj was passing by. Maharaj said, it's all right, because Prabhupada said we are going back home with the eating gulab jamun. So it's all good, as long they are connected with Krishna. Is that okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes, Bhadra Prabhu, you want to share something? You're on mute, Prabhuji. Can you please unmute yourself?
Haribol.
Yes.
Thank you, Pran Govinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Haribol, Danvat. I have a question. You said that, and if I'm wrong, correct me, kill enemy without enmity. Is that means that kill the sin, not the sinner? Is that what you mean?
Kill the sin, not the sinner. Well, something like this. If you look at the Bhagavad Gita 11.33, and what that verse Krishna says, Shubhavilas Prabhu, you can put that on the screen or not possible? Jitta Sat
11:33.
11.33.
Sure.
And Krishna gives a very interesting Tasmat Uttishtato. Jasolabhasya. Tasmat Uttishtato Jasolabhasya. And then Bhungse. Here it is. Jitta Satru. Jitta means you conquer. And Satru, so what is Satru means? Satru is not a person. Satru is a person with enemy behavior, character. If you define what Satru means, he wants to kill you. He doesn't want your existence. He doesn't want anything you should have. You should have everything. This is what the enemy means. And Krishna says, Jitta Satru Bhungse Rajyam Samriddhi. If you look at few words later, the last verse of this chapter, look at within few moments, Krishna is giving the 55. What is that verse? Mat karma kin mat paramo, the 11.55. Mat karma kin mat paramo mat bhakta sangha barjita nirved sarva bhuteshu josa mamete pandava. If you put 11.55 Prabhu, and you can see Prabhupada says that verse is the he said something like essential or most important verse in Bhagavad Gita. Something like that in the purport he says in the 11.55. And over there Krishna says Nirvair. Nirvair. Arjuna, Vairi means enemy. He said Nirvair, but no enmity. way. How you kill the enemy? First, you have to recognize he's an enemy. In order to see enemy, you have to define what the quality and the character of enemy, and you have to put that, project that to a person. Okay, Duryodhan, you are Shalla, you are enemy. I'm going to kill you. But inside, as a service, not an enmity. This is the art. Very fine art. Very difficult, but this is what Krishna consciousness boils down to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other reflection? Bangshi Bilas Prabhu, I don't know you. I see you be paying a lot of attention. Can you give me something? What are you going to carry from this class?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. It really tells us how to approach the material propensities and how to slowly purify ourselves by connecting to Krishna, and just being favorable to Krishna consciousness is the most important thing, and what we can teach our family. Prabhuji, I have a question. I still can't agree so much with the roommate example you gave. I don't know, maybe my consciousness is not understanding that so much, because if we compare a sense enjoyer and an impersonalist, what if the sense enjoyer will affect me and get me into sense enjoyment? Shouldn't but the impersonalist, because his sadhana is so good, he won't disturb my sadhana. So I still feel I would choose the impersonalist.
Okay. Thank you. That's very nice, honest question. Thank you. I thought that too, but I know the acharyas are always right. So from that angle, if you start looking, I found a very significant. Who you associate every day, can you imagine 30 years, you live with a person, you will eventually start talking and sharing each other's thoughts, reflection, contemplation. And if he is a very strong sadhak of impersonalist, he can actually slowly poison in your consciousness that you will turn like him. The soul in 12.5 Bhagavad Gita, it says, Klesha adhikatara stesham avyakta asakta chetasam. Avyakta hi gotir dukkha deham buddhir abhappati. So Krishna says, Klesha adhikataras. Klesha means 5 types of suffering. Avidya, asmita, raga, desha, abhinivesh. These 5 things called klesha. Klesha is a suffering, but misery has a 5 division. And the explanation is vast. I'm not going to give you the false ego. Asmita means false ego. So all this creates. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that look at what the impersonalists suffer. What they suffer? They don't want to enjoy this life, but they have senses. Can I ask you, Prabhu, if you are starving, hungry, starving to death, and there is a chappanna bhog plate, 56 preps, delicious food, but somebody tie up your hand and the plate of prasadam right in front. Can you tell me how do you feel? Tell me, little bit. Would you feel happy? Your hand is like a, say on the wall got shackled, and your leg is shackled, and the plate is 10 feet far, and nobody else is there. It's yours, but you cannot eat. But it's a 56 prep, cake, anything you imagine. I don't know what is 56 prep. Actually, I saw more than that, but I don't know. Chappanna bhog must have something special. But imagine, how would you feel? Tell me the truth.
I will feel constrained that I am not able to have that, and very sad that I can't save my life by eating, and I really want to indulge and eat the Japan bone.
Would it be better if there was no food, you're suffering, or you think it's, which is worse? You did not have food and you're still hungry, starving. Now there is a food, but you cannot eat because it's not allowed. Which one is more suffering? Tell me.
No food.
So you answer your own question.
No. Sorry, Prabhuji.
Think about it. Think about it.
Oh,
You think deeply. You think very deeply about it.
okay.
And Subhavilas Prabhu will give you my text. You can text me. What is your, you will come, you answered it, perfect. And you think about it. What was the pain without the food? Now the food is there, but I don't have access. This is worse. Why? The soul has a senses. Senses has to be engaged to draw the happiness. So Krishna says, Klesho adhikataras tesham. Adhikatar means a superlative, you know. There is a comparative, then there is a superlative. Adhikatara. So Krishna says, Klesho adhikataras tesham avyakta, ashakta. They have an attachment. These avyakta, they have an attachment to impersonalities. What happened? Dhyam buddhi, they have a senses. The soul has a senses, and the senses cannot be satisfied. We need power. Hiranyakashipu needed power. We all need power also to do bhakti. But what is the application or utilization of the power? Hiranyakashipu did a mistake. He conquered the world, he conquered the demigods, he conquered everything, except he conquered his own senses. As a result, he was failed, defeated by Prahlad. We have to engage our senses. There is no bhakti. There is no bhakti if we cannot engage our senses. Kriti shadda bhavet sadda bhava sa sadhana vida nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakuttam ridi saddhata. It says that kriti shadda, you have to engage your senses, your mind into Krishna. And if you are completely blocked, you're trying to restrain. You are torturing to yourself. Eventually, you will be completely frustrated. This is the poison. I don't know if you have an experience of the poison. In old style, Prabhupada says, the king, they used to, conquer the neighbor country. How? They would invite the king for a celebration. And they would have, in the kingdom, Prabhupada says, that if there is a most beautiful girl born, the king wants that girl to come to the palace. And they would inject a drop, tiny poison every day. And she would grow up as a big girl, beautiful, gorgeous girl, but her body is full of poison. Now she is worse than snake. If cobra bites to her, cobra will be dead. So now they would invite the king, and king would obviously want to enjoy her. And at night, and next day morning, they find the neighbor king is dead, and this king would just take over the kingdom automatically. Prabhupada gave that story. So this is how the effect of the poison works. Impersonalism is such a deadly poison. One day, not today, someday I'll explain you about this, where this origin of impersonalism. It's the most frightening things in our life. Unfortunately, we are born with it. We have impersonal some conception. In Bhagavad Gita 4.10, in the purport you see, Prabhupada said we are born with 3 attachments. We have to give up those 3. Eventually, we have to purify. So you already answered, but you think deeply more. Okay, Prabhu, thank you for answering such a nice. Okay, we close now.
I think there's a lot of activities today, so in the interest of time and everyone's services, we will close today, if it's okay for everyone. And of course, you will be coming again. I pray to seek your need your association. So if anyone has questions, maybe next time when Prabhuji is coming, so you can keep your questions
Okay.
at that time.
Thank you.
Thank
Hare
you so much.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Thank you.
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Gratitude.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpa taruvesya kripa sindhavayavati. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, Samasta Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur
Expand Govind Prabhu ki jai. Thank you so much to all the Vaishnavas for joining. And tomorrow, Vamsi Vilas Prabhu will be facilitating a Prabhupada class, so please join. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.